hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Pocket with Joe. Hey, happy Thursday, everyone. It is November 6th. We're talking action out there on the ice. It's time for Pocket with Joe over here on YouTube. I'm Jo Madden. You can follow me on all social media at Jo Madden Sports. We're going to be breaking down the majority of these games today. We're going to have a couple of cups of Joe for some of these later games. It's been a packed morning between everything going on. So you guys, we're going to break down as many as we can here. Let's make some freaking money. Below this video, well, firstly, hit that like button. Do me a solid. You guys hit the notification bell so you do know when the show goes live. We try to aim for right around 1 p.m. Eastern, but some days with my workload on my other sites, we just have to push it a little bit later, like today. But you guys do hit that subscribe button over here on YouTube. We got so much coming out. My Cup of Joes, you've also got a live Pocket with Joe at least 5 times a week, and we try to get things out on a weekend as well. So let's get going. Let's jump into today's action out there on the ice. It's gonna be a fun one. My biggest storyline is Ovi versus Sidney Crosby. Now, we did see history be made last night with Ovechkin getting goal number 900. He got goal number 900 on the St. Louis Blues. It was fantastic. I did think it would come tonight versus Sidney Crosby, but I still think Ovi is going to be firing in this one, bringing that momentum. But Sidney Crosby, you look at him, you look at how much he's firing this season. So if you take one thing away from this, take Sidney Crosby for a goal tonight. Ovi and Sid, I like both of them for 2+ points. You got a high total in the Washington Capitals versus the Pittsburgh Penguins game. It's going to be fire tonight out there between them. And I do think Ovi can get goal number 901. So it is going to be fantastic. Nazem Kadri in game number 1000. Talk about a runaway for the Calgary Flames last night. Nazem Kadri was able to get one of those goals. The Calgary Flames coming out so phenomenally strong in last night's action. So how much value do you place on team coaches when handicapping? A lot. There's some really good coaches out there, and you've got some coaches that kind of have lost locker rooms and things like that as well. You've also got the angle of coaches versus their former teams. We know in the NHL, the coaching expectancy, like lifeline for those coaches with those teams, it is quick turnaround for some of these coaches, and then we see them versus the other teams. So I do look a lot into that, and I look at how certain coaches have been coaching versus different teams and not just that team. So it's interesting for sure. Good morning, Matt. Happy Thursday. It's nice to see you here with us today. So let's make some freaking money, Mo. That is for sure. We're going to jump into this first game. I think the other angle you got to look at is the Nashville Predators after being screwed versus the Minnesota Wild. If you guys missed that the other night, the Wild, well, it's a rule. It's a rule, and it's a rule for a reason. We did see the Predators officially knock the goal off the post. And so the second chance was there for the rebound into where the net should have been. They count as a goal in overtime for the Minnesota Wild. Steven Stamkos, look for him to get revenge night in their matchup. So that is the other takeaway. Those are the two storylines I want you guys to circle if you're going to take anything away from this show. But let's jump into the first game here. We are looking firstly at the Minnesota Wild taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. The Wild off that win versus the Preds, right? 3-2 overtime win. They were lucky to be able to get that win. I don't think that goal would have gone in, and we can go back and debate back and forth if the Minnesota Wild would have got that goal on that chance, and would it have mattered? Would they have still been able to win the game if that goal didn't count? You got to question that. Now, Gustafsson coming in between the pipes for them today. Carolina starting Anderson. Now, Frederik Anderson has a 2.96 goals against average and 894 save percentage. When we look at the odds on this game, the Minnesota Wild are such a nice price on the money line. I know they're a road dog here, but I do think they have every advantage of keeping this one tight. They're plus 155 on the money line going into this game, and I do think it's worth some money on them. You got a total 6.5. The 6.5 juice to the under at minus 130. If you're liking Carolina, too juicy on the money line, they're minus 188. That puck line laying a half goes plus 128. You would have to look at the puck line, at least in my opinion, if you want to parlay it. We know these favorites can fall. And I do think this is a dangerous one to parlay the Carolina Hurricanes with another favorite that you're liking. I do think the Wild are live in this game. The Wild plus 1.5, though, going into this are too juicy. It's minus 158. We have seen these two teams play tight games the last four. We've seen the Minnesota Wild cover that puck line. They won both meetings last season as well. So for me, this is about the Wild. I think the Wild come out with that confidence. It's the first night of a back-to-back for them. They have the New York Islanders on deck tomorrow. Hard to believe tomorrow's Friday. Where has this week gone, you guys? But tomorrow they will have the Islanders on deck. I think the Wild can win this one. You look at the Carolina Hurricanes, and they are off a game versus the New York Rangers. And yeah, they got a shutout win, 3-0 win over the Rangers. That doesn't impress me much. You guys know with the Rangers, their struggles on the season. I did expect the Rangers to step up in that one at home, though. They were unable to do so. But this is the first game home off two out there on the road. Normally, I like to fade teams off a couple more out on the road. But then I start looking at, the weekend. They've got back-to-backs on the weekend. They're the Buffalo Sabres, and then they're at the Toronto Maple Leafs on Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday game ahead. Off two games. This is a situational spot where I've got to look at the Wild, especially when they won both meetings last season, to come out. I got it at plus 155. If you guys want to shop those lines, head on over to Odds Logic. You'll be able to shop those lines over there. But I do think this is a game where they keep it within that goal. So I'm willing to chance it there at plus 155. Now, if you're looking for some trends here with the player props and where you should go, we know Seth Jarvis has been lighting the lamp here. For the Canes, Sebastian Aho as well. But Logan Stankoven is someone you want to circle. He scored a goal in each of the Canes' last 3 home games. He's been rolling nice and hot, and I do think he can continue with that momentum in this one. On the other side for the Minnesota Wild, Matt Boldy is leading in scoring. He's got a total of 13 points. 5 goals and 8 assists. And then you got Kaprizov coming out here. He's got 10 assists so far on the season. He's been nice and solid for the Minnesota Wild. So Kaprizov, and 8 goals. So he is leading in goals. It should be a great matchup for both of them. I'd look at their player props parlay. Yeah, you got to look at Matt Boldy for the anytime goal. If they're going to get things done, it's got to be Matt Boldy. You cashed a parlay, almost cashed a 5-leg goal scorer, missed by 14, scored. Sherwood didn't score. Oh, that's absolutely brutal. I know Matt, who is in watching as well, hit a huge a goal parlay. So he cashed big last night. You guys, if you are taking those goal parlays, drop them below this video so that I know where you guys are betting and I can jump on them as well. Share the wealth, you guys, especially when you are cashing like that. And I'm glad it's Friday. It's almost Friday. You scared me for a second. I thought that I missed a day. Whew, that would have been bad. Okay, let's turn to the next game here. You guys, we got the St. Louis Blues coming off a beat down in their last game out. They're taking on the Buffalo Sabres. So the St. Louis Blues are a plus 112 dog here. We've got the Buffalo Sabres at minus 134 at home on that money line. This total is sitting at 6.5. And we understand why this one's sitting at 6.5, right? The lack of defense out here for the St. Louis Blues is just, wow. This St. Louis Blues team is very physical. They need to find a way to keep things out of the back of their net, and they're just not being able to do so. A total of 6.5. It is plus 104 to the over and minus 128 to the under. Now, when you look at the puck line here, of course, we can't take St. Louis because they're only a short dog. The Buffalo Sabres, though, if you do think they win it by multiple goals, minus 1.5, is coming in at plus 176. And they have every opportunity of winning this one by multiple goals, especially with how Joel Hofer has looked this season for St. Louis. He's allowed at least 2 goals in 6 straight games. He's got a 5.02 Yeah, a 5.02 goals against average. Not pretty. An 836 save percentage. He will go up against Lankican in between the pipes for the Buffalo Sabres. Now, Lankican, that save percentage isn't great either at 877 and a 3.33 goals against average. That's why when we look at a total of 6.5 and we're getting plus 104 to the over, I go, how the heck can we not jump on that? Well, maybe because the St. Louis Blues are not a team that we can really trust offensively, especially at the moment. Off a game last night versus the Washington Capitals in which they put up one goal. Too little, too late for that team. They went 5 unanswered goals, and then the Capitals won at 6-1. So I'm looking at this one for St. Louis to continue to struggle to score. You look here at the Buffalo Sabres, even if the St. Louis Blues go out on that power play, the Sabres kill is actually the best in the league, you guys. This kill has really come alive this season. 90.9% of the time they're killing off their opponent's power plays. So that should take a wash over how strong St. Louis has been, converting at 23.1%. Now, we have a really weak face-off here for Buffalo, and that does scare me because controlling the face-offs, you're able to control things in your zone, in your opponent's zone, and really make a push through the neutral zone, get that puck out of there. So that does scare me for Buffalo, but I think with the adversity there and with the adversity for the St. Louis Blues, we're going to see the Buffalo Sabres come out on top. Now, they did lose that last game to Utah at home, 2-1 on Tuesday. They have a road trip on deck as well. So normally not a scheduling spot I really like, but they're looking to get a home win coming off that loss. I do think they get back on track. The problem here is I don't want to lay the juice at minus 134. This keeps ticking up as the day is going on. I saw it as early as like 6 a.m. this morning at minus 120 and change, and now minus 134. It's unbettable for me on that money line because this should be a game where they win it by a couple. So if you're looking at a side here, I'd look at the puck line for the Buffalo Sabres. When we look at the puck line for the Buffalo Sabres laying a goal and a half, it's plus 172. You guys know I'm a sucker for that plus money at plus 172. I do think the Sabres are the right way to go. Now, we also have seen the St. Louis Blues lose their last 8 as a dog on the second night of back-to-back. This isn't a strong suit for them. They are home Saturday versus the Kraken. I think the best bet in this one is look at the Sabres to come out strong out of the gate. Find the back of the net. They're going to be frustrated after being held to only 1 goal versus Utah. That's not like this team. They are averaging 2.85 goals per game. And with Joel Hofer's inability between the pipes, I do think the Sabres can get 4 goals. We're in plus money for the Sabres team total over 3.5 goals at plus 114. Now, taking the Sabres over 3.5 goals at plus 114 means this can be a 4-3 win if St. Louis all of a sudden hits Lankican, because we know his numbers aren't great. It also is a win if we see St. Louis somehow pull it off in a 5-4 win. We just need 4 goals out of the Buffalo Sabres, and then we are fine. Now, if you want to look at the Sabres first period, they have won the last 4 first periods versus the Central. So would be another solid way to go. I expected them to come out hot out of the gate, but St. Louis with legs playing last night, that is where teams know they have to strike first. So I won't be shocked if we get over 1.5 goals in the first period and both teams to score in the first period, cashing. So I won't take the Sabres in the first period on that puck line, but I will look at them over 3.5 goals for the full game. And if I had to take a side in this, it would be Buffalo laying the 1.5, because I don't, I really don't think St. Louis is going to be able to get those goals. Yeah, Matt, definitely drop yours later for sure. Let us know. Matt absolutely killed it last night, you guys. He cashed big time on those anytime goal scorers for sure. Okay, let's get moving here. We're going to look at the next game out there. The Montreal Canadiens taking on the New Jersey Devils. This is a battle of teams first place in the Eastern Conference. These two teams are just rolling freaking hot right now. You guys know I love what we're seeing out of the Montreal Canadiens. And then the New Jersey Devils, they can light the lamp at any given moment. So we got a total of 5.5 in this one, which is shocking, right? You would think we'd get a 6.5. It's all going to depend on goaltending. Jacob Markstrom between the pipes before the New Jersey Devils does give me a little bit of concern today. He doesn't have solid numbers on the season. So looking at this one, total of 5.5, minus 134 to the over, plus 110 to the under. In all honesty, you guys, I can't look at this game and I can't take an under. I just can't get there. But at minus 134, I also can't take an over. Now, the Montreal Canadiens rolling in as a dog. You know I love that plus money at plus 118. The New Jersey Devils are minus 142. Um, we will see Dobbs in between the pipes here for Montreal. Josh Dobbs has great numbers on the season. He's got a 1.97 goals against average and a 930 save percentage. Jacob Markstrom, not solid numbers on the season, a 4.17 goals against average and an 875 save percentage, but he's been returning from injury the last couple games, and I'm expecting him to find some more form. Now, while I can't take an under 5.5, could we see it play out that way with two really hot offenses? We could. We got a solid kill here for the New Jersey Devils against one of the best power plays in the league, and both of these teams have the best power plays in the league. You got 30.8% conversion for Montreal and 31.3% conversion for the New Jersey Devils. Whichever team gets in the box and takes stupid penalties will lose this game. That's how close of a battle this is going to be. But I think this is a game where you do see it go to overtime. I'm liking the overtime bet because I either see this a 4-3 win in overtime for one of these teams or a 3-2 win in overtime for one of these teams. I think it is that tight of a battle out there on the ice. Now, this is the first game home off a road trip for the New Jersey Devils. They went 1-3 on that road trip, so it wasn't a good road trip. They're looking to get back out strong. They do have, though, then this scares me for the New Jersey Devils. So if I had to pick a side, it would be that plus money on Montreal, because you look at the New Jersey Devils and I know they're both first place teams in the Eastern Conference, but you also have the Pittsburgh Penguins, which is a battle of the Metro, on deck for the New Jersey Devils on Saturday. So they will have a little bit of a look ahead spot to them. They're off that loss to the Anaheim Ducks 4-1 on Sunday. And we do see the Montreal Canadiens off a loss to the Flyers 5-4 in a shootout on Tuesday. They are versus Utah at home on Saturday. So for me, it's got to be, if I had to pick a side, it's Montreal. My best bet in this one is it to go to overtime. Let's just look at those overtime odds. Make sure nothing has changed in this game for overtime here. Correct score. I don't want to take that correct score. The overtime is coming in at plus 330. I definitely think that is the best bet. Now, you guys know where to go with these games here for Montreal. It's called Caulfield and Nick Suzuki for a point. Parlay it together and call it a day. Those players are coming out so nice and strong. Now, the books are catching up on this, and this is the hard thing. Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield coming in at minus 124 for a point. For everyone who's telling me I don't say Cole right, it's my accent, you guys. It's really hard for me to draw down that O, but I know it is Cole when I slow it down. So Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki. That's just a note for people in the comments saying that I don't know his name, but I do. Yeah, we'll do those player props, Mo, at the end of the game for sure. Okay, Mo, have a great day. Thank you for joining us here. But yeah, look at those players. On the other side for the New Jersey Devils, Jack Hughes has been absolutely phenomenal out there on the ice. You got Jasper Bratt, you got Nico Hischier as well, Timo Meier, Dougie Hamilton. The list just keeps going on and on for both of these teams, the playmakers out there. I do think you can't go wrong with all of these players, you guys. There's no one that I wouldn't circle today to be able to get those points on the board. And I know goaltending is solid out here, but I think we will get those opportunities for those goals. And like I said, it's either 2-2 going into OT with that third goal coming in overtime, keeping us under the 5.5, or this is a 3-3 going to overtime and we see the over hit. So be cautious with that. Give me the overtime bet at plus 330. Okay, we're going to go on to the next game here. And I forgot to start bookmarking these, you guys. So let's do the Sens here at the 20-minute mark. Okay, so the next game on deck, we do see the Ottawa Senators taking on the Boston Bruins. Storyline behind this is goaltender versus goaltender of their former teams, right? We have Allmark coming out here for the Ottawa Senators and Korpisalo for the Boston Bruins. They were on the opposite. in prior years. So it's going to be interesting to see how these teams come out. This is another Atlantic battle here. Two teams sitting in the Atlantic, but the Boston Bruins do have a big Atlantic rivalry with the Toronto Maple Leafs on deck on Saturday. They've actually got a couple games versus them over the next week. So it's going to be interesting if Boston is looking past Ottawa, but they shouldn't, because Ottawa just blew out Boston last month. They got a big 7-2 win. So will Boston be looking for revenge? I think they would be smart to look for revenge instead of looking ahead to that game versus Toronto. But we know some teams just get in their head about taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs, but we'll see what's going to happen. So Allmark here for the Ottawa Senators has a 3.41 goals against average and an 861 save percentage. Korpisalo has a 3.49 goals against average and an 882 save percentage. I do think with the defensive lapses of the Ottawa Senators and the Boston Bruins and the goaltending here, we're going to see this be a higher scoring game. Which team do I have more faith in to get those goals on the board? It ultimately comes down to, I do trust the Ottawa Senators more so to get those goals. They're off a loss to Montreal in overtime on Saturday. It was 4-3. Game 2 of 3 on the road. They've got the Flyers on deck on Saturday. And like I said, the last time these teams matched up on October 27th, we saw a 7-2 blowout win by the Ottawa Senators. The Senators have so much youth and speed that I do think this team continues to roll nice and hot in this game. So I'm going to take the Senators to get another win here. The problem is they're too juicy on the money line. We look at the money line for the Ottawa Senators and -142. You guys know I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. There's always puck luck out there on the ice, and you never know what's going to happen. So I'm not going to lay juice to a team straight up on the money line like that. But I do think they go over the 3.5 goals. The over 3.5 goals coming in at +114. Now, a little bit of caution. They have lost their last 4 as that road favorite. And we have seen the Boston Bruins cover the puck line as a home underdog. So if you want to come in on Boston, if Ottawa goes up by a couple, I don't think this is a blowout in this one. I do think they play tight, but I do think the Ottawa Senators get 4 goals. Boston could get 3. So if you see Ottawa go up first, I would come back in on the Boston Bruins. Right now on that puck line, no value at +1.5 at -215. But if we do see Ottawa go up first, you should be able to get Boston +1.5 at like a -110, -120 mark. This total of 6.5, it is +106 to the over. I'll gladly take this one to the over. I don't trust the defense out here for either of these teams, and I don't trust either goaltender, but I do trust Allmark more than Korpisalo. So I do think Allmark could have the better day, and that's why I like to isolate the team total over 3.5 for the Ottawa Senators instead of that full game. I do think the full game goes over, but I think it's the Senators who I trust more to get those goals on the board. Now, Morgan Geekie has been really strong versus the Atlantic Division. He's scored a goal. He's actually scored the first goal in each of the Bruins' last 2 versus the Atlantic Division. I'd look at Morgan Geekie and David Pastrnak for their points parlayed together. Pasta has 7 goals and 11 assists through 15 games this season. We know Pasta brings it. So Morgan Geekie and Pasta for their points today. And then on the other side for the Ottawa Senators, and this is where I have the faith. You got Shane Pinto. You got Struzal. You got Batherson. You got Dylan Kozin. I do think you can look at all 4 of those players to strike tonight. I'm looking for those goals to come raining in. So give me Drake Batherson for a goal. Give me Tim Struzal. Yeah, and then Shane Pinto. I'll take those 3, but I would also look at all 4 of them for their points tonight. Should be a good game for the Ottawa Senators. Batherson with an assist, 8 out of the last 10 games. Yeah, Batherson has been rolling hot. You can look at Batherson for the assists. You can look at him for the points as well. You look here at the power play for the Ottawa Senators. It is converting at a nice high rate. I do expect this to be a scrappy game where you're going to see those power play opportunities. Power play converting here for the Senators at 27.1%. The kill for the Boston Bruins has been pretty solid at 82.8%, but I do think the Sens will get the best of them in this game, especially if the Sens go up fast. You're going to see Boston get pissy out there on the ice. That is for sure. Okay, we talked about it to start here. The Washington Capitals are taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. This should be a good one. So the Washington Capitals are rolling in at -120, second night of a back-to-back after a big win versus St. Louis Blues, taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins here at home. +100 for the Penguins, and we got a total 6.5. 6.5 juice to the under at -120, -102 to the over. Charlie Lindgren in between the pipes here for Washington, Silvos in for Pittsburgh. So we do have the goaltending matchup here with Charlie Lindgren versus Silvos. And I do think Charlie Lindgren, even though his numbers aren't as solid, is a better goaltender. Now, we look at a power play that's second best in the league for the Pittsburgh Penguins at 32.4%. The kill, 76.9% for the Washington Capitals. Strong kill for the Penguins. I do think they're going to have the strength on special teams. I also think you got to look at this one. It's Sid versus Ovi. Ovi coming off a big game last night, getting goal number 900 versus the St. Louis Blues. I was hoping it would come here tonight versus Sidney Crosby, but I think he continues to roll hot. Ovechkin for the anytime goals plus 160. I signed up. Sidney Crosby for the anytime goal plus 150. I signed up as well. Now, I know Sid is normally the facilitator, but this season, it's not looking that way. Sid has just been on fire this season. He's been firing that puck at will. He's been lighting that lamp, and I think he continues to do so here. It's got to be crazy, like the rivalry between these two, even though it goes unspoken. They're not like mean to each other, but this is a huge game between two huge superstars where Ovi gets all of the attention for his goal scoring, but Sid this year is off to such a hot start. He's been able to net those assists, get those goals, and he's flying out there on the ice. So my best bets for this is just take Ovi and Sid for those anytime goals. Now, the Washington Capitals have won their last 4 as a favorite on the road, but they failed to cover the puck line as a favorite on the second leg of a back-to-back. I do think this will be a live betting opportunity, but I also think this is one where I think the Pittsburgh Penguins could win it. My thing, though, with that is I would look at the Washington Capitals. What has paid us? The Washington Capitals first period puck line for them to come in strong, then coming back in on the opponent plus 1.5. It pays us, you guys, on the weekly. So give me the Washington Capitals first period puck line. Then I'll come back in on the Pittsburgh Penguins plus the 1.5 with the sprinkle, because I do think they have every opportunity of getting the win. Their last game was out there on the road versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. It is a one-off home game here. Off 4 on the road. So then they've got 4 on the road after they leave. So they got the Devils on Saturday and then home on Sunday. So their schedule kind of like all over there. But this is going to be a good one. I just have to back both of them. Now, this could be an overtime game as well. Both of these superstars looking to close this out. So I would look at overtime between these, Sid and Ovi. It's always a great show. Batherson for the assist at plus 120. Yeah, Batherson will come out nice and strong in that game for the Ottawa Senators. So should be a great one. Next on deck, with the Philadelphia Flyers given the start to Dan Vladar between the pipes and the Nashville Predators with Saros. I do think you look at this one and you look at the Predators and you look at how upset they've got to be after the Minnesota Wild won that last game in OT and the controversial net coming off issue. And I got to go with the Predators. They're a nice price here on the money line. Now, will they be able to go over the total of 5.5 and get the win? They could be able to. Dan Vladar, he is a solid goaltender, but I don't know. I kind of feel like the Nashville Predators with Stamkos are going to light things up tonight. We got a couple of really strong playmakers out there for the Nashville Predators that we really don't talk enough about. Between Philip Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, Jonathan Marchessault, and Steven Stamkos, I look at those lines, and these are playmakers that we should see continuously lighting the lamp. We haven't really seen it over last season, but I do think Stamkos is going to roll in here nice and strong. I do think Stamkos for the anytime goal at plus 275 is a great way to go. We saw him in the media after that call with the Minnesota Wild and him saying he was disappointed, right? I do think Stamkos comes out. Jonathan Marchessault, we know his strength out there on the ice. I think this is a nice one to look at both of those players. I think they're going to come out fantastically strong in this matchup. Now, if you're looking at the Flyers here, you do see Drysdale, Jamie Drysdale. He's been able to get a goal in each of the Flyers' last 2 games versus the Predators. Jamie Drysdale is a nice long shot. He's coming in at plus 800. Now, I do think there's limited goals for the Flyers out here. I think the Predators really show up in this game. I think they lock down defensively. I think they get a couple goals themselves. We stay under the total of 5.5. So be careful with long shot goal scorers like Jamie Drysdale. But at plus 800, it's not that bad of a bet out there. So I'm looking for a strong one out in this game. We know the Flyers are coming off an overtime win as well. That's not a strong suit. They've lost their last 5 games as an underdog following an overtime win. So I can't get them, but they have been really solid on the puck line on the road. You guys, they don't really get blown out. I do think this is one that the Preds win by multiple goals in a low scoring fashion. So 3-1 style win here for the Nashville Predators. So if you like the trends, the Flyers after the Predators go up, plus 1.5 on the puck line, because they have covered it the last 8 on the road, but I just can't get behind it, especially off that overtime game. I just don't see them being able to get this win here. So I'm looking for a 3-1 win for the Nashville Predators, plus 1.5 for the Predators on that puck line. You know I'm freaking in. Sign me up. It's plus 200 for the Nashville Predators, minus 1.5 at plus 200, you guys. I think it's a great way. If you just want to take the under 5.5, it's minus 110 to the under. Let's move on to the next game, you guys. We do have the Ducks. Oh, this is a good one. This is a great one, okay? We are we're looking at a goaltender who had a baby. You guys, we brought it up when Jake Ottinger wasn't out there for that last game. Let's just pull up the odds. The Anaheim Ducks versus the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars are minus 182. Minus 1.5 on that puck line. Sign me up. Plus 134. I think the Stars win this, and they win this big. Jake Ottinger had a little baby boy the other day, and he's hitting the ice tonight. Now, this total is sitting at 6.5. We still don't have goalie props out. Oh, no, we still don't have goalie props out. I'll take Jake Ottinger to whatever they give us to the over. The Anaheim Ducks can bring it. So the Anaheim Ducks will bring those shots on goal. They're averaging 31.4 shots on goal per game. Power play converting at 20.4%. And the Dallas Stars, they're allowing these shots to come raining in. 28.5 shots on goal per game allowed. Jake Ottinger back from the birth of his child. Shutout win here. If we can get the shutout, you guys, it is going to cash so big. This is where I love looking at those goaltenders on that return. So there is no shutout bet yet. On the books, they have not listed Jake Ottinger as of yet. He's the expected goaltender. I'm going big. I'll lay the 1.5 with the Dallas Stars. I will take, as soon as it pops up, Jake Ottinger to get the shutout, and I will take him over his safe shots on goal. Now, I'm expecting that number to come in at about 29.5. Over 29.5 all day long. I take it up to over 30.5, 35.5. Sorry. I do think he gets 36 saves in a shutout win. So that's where I'm going. Go big or go home. Let's go big on Jake Ottinger tonight. The Dallas Stars have the playmakers out there, and they're at home in this one. You got Mikko Rantanen, Jason Robinson, Wyatt Johnson. Those are the 3 that I would look at. Again, I think the Ducks, even though they're coming off a nice solid win in their last game out, I don't think they are quacking today. We then will see at 10 p.m. Eastern the matchup between the Florida Panthers and the LA Kings. So in this matchup, let me just get the timestamp here. Okay, so the Florida Panthers rolling in at minus 104, the LA Kings at minus 115. They're coming off that big win versus the Winnipeg Jets, right, where they got the shutout win. This total sitting at 5.5. 2 defensive-minded teams. I understand the under 5.5. It's a hard one, though, right? Because you look at this and you look at the offensive abilities out of both of these teams, and they have every ability to step up and play up to their opponent's pace. The thing with this one is the Florida Panthers love to get up fast and then lock down and then hold that lead. And then the LA Kings, they love to play that defensive style of hockey out there. I do think this one stays under the 5.5, but I'm cautious for the full game. I would rather look at the first period, you guys. We got a first period, and I'm just pulling up the odds here. Under 1.5 total goals is minus 116. That is where I'd like to go. Now, we have the ability for the Florida Panthers to go up first in the first period. We know how strong this team is at getting on the board, but the LA Kings can also do so. So I'm a little nervous here. The Kings are coming off that game versus Winnipeg where they got the shutout. I think this is one where you take the under 1.5 in the first period and kind of like hold your breath, because if we see one team answer back after the other, we're screwed. It's going to go over the 1.5. It's Bobrovsky versus Darcy Kemper. Both are so solid out there on the ice. So I'll take the under 1.5 in the first period. Look for these goaltenders to stand on their head. Look for the defensive battle. And I would look at, if you really want to side in the first period, as at the Florida Panthers to come out nice and strong. Now, looking at any trends here for both of these teams, I'm just double checking my trends. I don't think I have anything that's like really solid that I would back. You know, you do have the Florida Panthers in their last 4 covering the puck line as an underdog against the Pacific. So if you want to come back in on Florida, if the Kings go up first, they should play a tight battle out here. But this is one where I wouldn't be looking at coming back in on. I would just look at this one under in the first period and then kind of just stay away, as I don't love this game. We know the Florida Panthers hoisted the Stanley Cup last year. There could be an empty netter that pushes us over the 5.5, and that's why the first period, I think, is a better bet. If that's the case, I think it's a 4-2 win for the LA Kings, right? If that empty netter is coming into play. We know Florida is still dealing with so many injuries out there on the ice. Kempe and Kopitar are who you want to look at for the LA Kings to get those points on the board. So it'll be an interesting one in this battle. And last but not least, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Current odds in this one for you guys is the Tampa Bay Lightning are rolling in here as a -104. Dog on the road, -115 for the Vegas Golden Knights, and a total of 5.5. I do expect, I was reading the wrong ones. Vegas is -118. Tampa is -102. Total 5.5. Juice to the over at -134. Looking at your goaltending matchup in this one, Andre Vasilevsky versus Schmidt in between the pipes for Vegas. Vegas is a pretty fair price here at home. And I know Tampa has finally found that offensive firepower, but I do think Vegas locks down in this game. Plays a solid game, keeps us under the 5.5, and wins us in a 3-2 style game. At -118 for the Vegas Golden Knights on the money line, I do think it's a solid way to go. We've also got Tampa covering the puck line on the road in the last 4. And like I said, I think it's a 3-2 game. I think it's that tight of a battle between these two teams. I really like what we've seen out of Vegas, and I do think their defense can come out strong. They have won the last 8 versus the Atlantic out there on the ice as well. So this has been one of their strong suits. Now, Barbashev has scored a goal in 3 of the Vegas Golden Knights' last 4 home games. He would be your playmaker that I would circle in this, but you know there's so many solid playmakers out there for the Vegas Golden Knights. So it does make it hard when you're looking at these teams to be able to pick those anytime goals. I would probably look at the points. Now, Jack Eichel, we know his strength out there, and Dorofeev. Those would be the 2 playmakers that I would be looking at, other than Barbashev, to come out strong for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, on the other side for the Tampa Bay Lightning, Nikita Kucherov always gets up big for these matchups. You've got Jake Gunsel and Braden Point as well. I think it's going to be a lower scoring, so I'm going to be very cautious with any player props in this game, you guys. Ottinger over 23.5 at -130, plus 850 only for the shutout. You guys, they are limiting their risk at plus 850 only for the shutout, plus 1,500 have been some of these shutout odds. So definitely great way to go. Look at Ottinger to be able to get the shutout, birth of his child. His emotions, he's going to be at a high here coming into this game. And I do think Ottinger, the Dallas Stars, lights it up between the pipes and not allowing that puck to go in. So, Matt, thank you for finding that for us. Let's get into the recap, you guys. We're at the 38, 35-minute mark. It is recap time. We've flown through these 9 games today. It should be a great day out there on the ice. Okay, so the first game out, we do see the Minnesota Wild taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. I think Minnesota is live. Give me Minnesota straight up on the money line at plus 155. I do think if Carolina goes up first, you want to come back in on the Wild plus 1.5. Pre-game, it's too juicy, but I do think they're a live dog that has every opportunity of getting the win. Now, for Carolina, Logan Stankoven has been strong at home, scoring in the last 3. He would be your playmaker I'd look at. You could also look at the players that have been stepping up, Sebastian Aho and Seth Jarvis. On the other side, I got Matt Boldy for a goal for the Minnesota Wild. Kaprizov has been firing as well. The St. Louis Blues and the Buffalo Sabres, give me the Sabres team total over 3.5 goals at plus 114. The Montreal Canadiens and the New Jersey Devils, give me OT. I love overtime in this game. I think this one is either a 2-2 overtime game, 3-3 overtime game. I'm staying off that total because of it. If I had to take a side, it would be Montreal first. Montreal for the win, just because of the value we're getting with the Montreal Canadiens here versus the New Jersey Devils, because Jacob Markstrom, I think, is a weaker of the 2 goaltenders. The Ottawa Senators and the Boston Bruins, battle of former goaltenders versus former teams. I do think the stronger goaltender is Ullmark here for the Ottawa Senators. I'll take the Senators team total over 3.5 goals at plus 114. I would look at Shane Pinto, Tim Struzal, Jake Batherson, Dylan Kozin for those points tonight. Tim Struzal, Drake Batherson. I think Batherson scores. I know you guys have him for assists, but I think he's netting one tonight. On the other side, Morgan Geekie has been strong versus the Atlantic Division. He scored the first goal in each of the Bruins' last 2 versus the Atlantic. I think Morgan Geekie and Pasta, you just parlay them for their points. The Washington Capitals versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. Give me overtime in this one as well, you guys. Give me Ovi for a goal and Sid for a goal. I think they battle this one out in a tight battle. Pittsburgh has the opportunity of winning. They're the underdog going in. This offense has been on fire. I do think they'll hit Charlie Lindgren. So give me the Penguins if I had to pick a side. The Philadelphia Flyers and the Nashville Predators. I think the Predators will be on a mission after that game versus the Wild, losing an OT with that net coming off. I think the Predators money line is a fair price in this one. I'll take the Predators money line, but I do think they win this and cover that puck line. Give me the Predators at plus 200, laying a goal and a half, winning this one 3-1 versus the Philadelphia Flyers. Then the Anaheim Ducks versus the Dallas Stars. You guys saw those numbers. Jake Ottinger over 23.5 save shots on goal. The Ducks average 31.4. Dallas Stars give up 28.5. Jake Ottinger had his baby boy, his first child out there. He's going to be a rock. He's going to be a wall between the pipes. Give me Jake Ottinger over the 23.5, laddered up to over 35.5, actually 34.5 save shots on goal for Jake Ottinger. Give me Jake Ottinger for the shutout. Can't believe it's only plus 850. The Florida Panthers and the LA Kings. This game here, I do think you look at the under 1.5 in the first period. Little nervous about the full game under. I could see a 4-2 win with an empty netter for one of these teams. I would lean on the Kings with the home ice advantage if I'm going to go there. And then the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Vegas Golden Knights. I think Vegas is a nice fair price here at home. I do think they win this in a lower scoring one, shutting down Tampa's offense. So the under in this game is 5.5. You're getting that at plus 110. I take Dorofeev for the anytime goal in this matchup. You got Barbashev with strong numbers as well, and Jack Eichel. But I do think it's just Vegas, Vegas, Vegas. You guys, that is the recap. Let's build a long shot player point parlay here. You know, I've already added Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. That is an instant add for Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield there for Montreal. When we look at the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins, we have to add those points in. I have to take the points here for Sidney Crosby and Ovechkin. I do think they're both going to have nice, solid games in this one. I know Ovi's on the second night of a back-to-back, but he wants to show up for sure. Sidney Crosby tonight, you know that rivalry is there between these superstars. For the Dallas Stars, I will look at Wyatt Johnston. We're getting him at minus 220 in the same game parlay, the long shot player point parlay. It is juicy. You could go down to Tyler Sequin, but I do think Wyatt Johnston is your better play there. The Nashville Predators, you know, we got a circle. Steven Stamkos. Steven Stamkos wasn't impressed with that goal the other night, and I do think he comes out nice and strong in this one. Gets us the point. We're getting him at plus 104 for the anytime point. And which other game do I really want to circle? That's it, you guys. That's all I want to circle. I do think Buffalo, Ottawa. Okay, let's look at Ottawa quick. because I do like Ottawa to have a big day as well. Let's go Batherson. Let's go Batherson for Ottawa. I'll stay off the Boston Bruins. Morgan Geekie and David Pasternak are where you want to go for the Boston Bruins. So I'm not going to throw them into this parlay. The Buffalo Sabres. Let's look who we're going to take here. Tex Thompson's so juicy. I'd rather look at Robert Thomas. Robert Thomas has been fantastic. If you go further down the list, it is Dylan Holloway who is able to get you those points on the nightly as well. So we do have, let me just, oh, you guys, I built this earlier today. And I got this bet in for Monday Night Football. This is a quick preview of what I did. I took Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, and Jalen Hurts for an anytime touchdown. Josh Jacobs from the Green Bay Packers, Saquon Barkley from the Philadelphia Eagles, and Jalen Hurts from the Eagles. You know that tush push is coming into play. Those three for an anytime touchdown is plus 910. So I love it. And plus 910, you can't not get in on that. So those were my anytime tutties that I was talking about this morning. Hence the reason why this show running a little bit late. But let's look. I got an 8-leg same game parlay. So let's get into the long shot 8-leg same game parlay, you guys. Now, player point parlay, 1 point from each of these guys. It pays plus 25.42. So your playmakers are Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield from the Montreal Canadiens. Then Sidney Crosby from the Pittsburgh Penguins, Alex Ovechkin from the Washington Capitals, Wyatt Johnston from the Dallas Stars, Steven Stamkos from the Nashville Predators, Drake Batherson from the Ottawa Senators, Robert Thomas from the St. Louis Blues. Why did I put Robert Thomas from the St. Louis Blues in? I like Robert Thomas from the St. Louis Blues, but I wanted to go with someone. Let's change that, you guys. I got really excited for Robert Thomas. I want someone from Buffalo. Let's go with Rasmus Dahlin. Should we leave Robert Thomas in? No. Let's get rid of Robert Thomas. Okay, let's try this again. I was wondering why I added that. As soon as I started looking at it, I was like, Sabres are where I have faith in. Maybe Freudian slip. Maybe we roll with St. Louis now. Let me know your thoughts on that. Okay, 8-legger plus 26.18. Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield for a point from Montreal. Sidney Crosby from Pittsburgh. Alex Ovechkin from Washington. Wyatt Johnston from Dallas. Steven Stamkos from Nashville. Drake Batherson from Ottawa. Rasmus Dahlin from Buffalo. 8 legs plus 26.18. You guys, it should be a good one. It should be a great day out there on the ice. I love Jake Ottinger tonight after the birth of his child. Shutout win, sign me up. Over 23.5 safe shots on goal, firing up. I love that storyline with Jake Ottinger. I love the Senators battle former goaltenders as well. I think that is going to be a great one. If you're going to watch a couple games, those are two. I would also look at Ovi versus Sid. So you guys, all the best in all your bets. Drop below this video what you're liking out there on the ice. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's slate on the ice is, what do we got? 4 games? I think we got 4 games on the ice tomorrow. Yeah, we got 4 games on the ice with the Wild versus the Islanders, the Rangers versus Detroit. Rangers looking to get payback on someone after being shut out in their last game. You got Chicago versus Calgary. Calgary coming off a high. Chicago coming off a game where Connor Bedard finally got a goal in Vancouver. They were able to get the win, now coming to face Calgary. And then you've got the Winnipeg Jets. Well, they're going to be pissed after the LA Kings shut them out in their last game. They're taking on the San Jose Sharks tomorrow night. The Sharks are a plus 165 dog. Can they roll hot versus the Winnipeg Jets? Well, we'll see what happens tomorrow. We're going to be breaking down all these games here on Pocket with Joe. So make sure you turn on that notification bell. I do believe we should be able to go live at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So should see you at the normal time. But you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Stay tuned for my Cup of Joes. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Let's make some freaking money out there on the ice tonight. Until tomorrow, stay hot, you guys. And we'll see you.